It's more dangerous to be a police officer today, do you not think, than it has been in
The
a long
police
time?
are under siege because of things. They can do 10,000 great acts, which is what they do, and one bad apple or a choker. A choker. They choke. Shooting the guy, shooting the guy in the back many times. I mean, couldn't you have done something different? Couldn't you have wrestled? I mean, in the meantime, he might have been going for a weapon, and there's a whole big thing there. But they choke, just like in a golf tournament. They miss a 3-foot.
You're not comparing it to golf because, of course, that's what the media.
I'm saying people choke.
People panic.
Choke,
yeah.
And people are bad people. You have both. You have some bad people, and they choke. You could be a police officer for 15 years, and all of a sudden you're confronted. You've got a quarter of a second to make a decision. If you don't make the decision and you're wrong, you're dead. People choke under those circumstances, and they make a bad decision. I've seen bad decisions of people that it looked bad, but probably it was a choke.
Yeah, and that choke results in the deaths of unarmed Black people. This isn't them going, oh, I did a whoopsie, I made a mistake. Oops, how cute of me. This isn't, Adam Scott shanking his ball into the rough, right? Okay. I know sports, not golf that much. This is murder. This is attempted murder. This is murder. That's what this is, on the job. And, taxpayers don't pay golfers' salaries, except for you, Donald Trump, for you to cheat at golf. But we pay the salaries of police officers to protect and serve. So they don't get to choke, not just chokeholds, do chokeholds and then choke, according to Trump. Choke and then kill people. We get to demand accountability because we pay them to protect and serve us. I guess Trump would know something about choking in golf, though. So what I do know, though, is that shooting someone 7 times in the back at point blank range, that's not a choke. That's structural racism and horrifying police tactics and training and culture. While there is no specific rule for every single scenario, law enforcement experts Kirk Burkhalter and Michael Gurman told BBC that as far as they know, Mr. Blake was not being arrested or wanted for any heinous crime like mass murder. The effort to prevent him from getting into his car and driving away is what led to the violence, says Mr. German. They had his license plate number. If they needed to go arrest him later, he would be easy to find. Professor Burkhalter adds that in the moments leading up to the shots, officers passed through several decision points where they could have made more effective decisions like tackling him or tasing him again. When someone resists arrest and they attempt to walk away, which happens often, that in and of itself is not carte blanche to use deadly physical force, period. The retired detective adds that if Mr. Blake threatened deadly force, drawing weapons could be justified, but he says it's particularly disturbing that an officer grabbed his shirt with one hand and fired with the other. It didn't appear to be life-threatening at that particular point, and holding someone in place so you can shoot them unless they are actually armed at that time seems wildly problematic. There's also a lack of situational awareness, Professor Burkhalter points out, calling it an absolute miracle that none of the 7 shots ricocheted to strike the children in the car. So that article is from a fairly right-wing perspective. Those are multi-year veterans of the NYPD and FBI talking. It's not some liberal conspiracy here. This is what people who study policing say would have been the many different scenarios that could have gone down. It isn't a choke. They made deliberate decisions to go after a man and brutalize him, even as there's such a national spotlight on it and on policing and racism. They did it anyway. And that shows how deeply embedded it is and how only laws that allow us to prosecute and be punitive towards cops when they murder people, which, same for every citizen, on the job, that's the only thing that's going to change the realities of policing in America.